Hello, everybody. This is Jeremy, Jerome, as my barber would say, with a UFC 264 report for the Turnbuckle Club. Oh, yeah. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to give you my take, my review of the event for the fights on the main card, okay? So we're not talking prelims here, all right? We're going straight to Sean O'Malley versus Chris Moutinho. Sean O'Malley, very impressive when it comes to striking and evading. You know, you deliver a punch and he'd move out of the way. And he did that repeatedly so many times that it became pretty obvious and apparent that Sean O'Malley was going to win by decision had the fight continued. So he delivered something like 180-something blows to Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley delivered 180-something blows to Chris Moutinho, and a lot of it was to the head. So that was a really good fight. It was exciting. Glad to see O'Malley not risk any lower body injuries, okay, because he did suffer one against Marlon Vera not too long ago. And, you know, it takes a while for fighters to come back from lower body injuries as far as not feeling pain, okay? Some fighters deliver blows to fighters in terms of kicks. And when you deliver one the wrong way or when you injure your leg, it takes years to overcome that pain. Some people think you sit off for a couple months, you come back and you're at 100%. That's not necessarily the case. You can deliver a kick to somebody, or you can break your leg or sprain something, and it takes, in some cases, some fighters 2-3 years to live with that pain and to come back. Because remember, they're not just sitting around; they're always training on their legs as well. So, O'Malley wins that fight. There was an early stoppage. I think that the fight was stopped prematurely by Herb Dean. Okay. The good part about this loss for Chris Moutinho is this, okay? Chris Moutinho was like a zombie in this fight. He was on the receiving end of a lot of strikes, a lot of blows to the head, but hey, he was impervious to pain, as the late Gorilla Monsoon would have said, and he kept on coming forward. He's the gentleman in the green here in this fight, okay? I don't think anybody knew a whole lot about him, but now leaving, this guy is a name. People will definitely tune in to see him fight next because of two reasons. Number one, some people say that he was quote-unquote robbed of the fight, even though it was pretty obvious that he would have lost by decision. But hey, he had fight in him. He kept on moving forward. He might have been in a vulnerable situation at times, but he came back. And let's face it, he delivered a few shots, a few blows, but he was tough as nails, or tougher than a $2 steak, as Jim Ross would say. So a lot of fans will now jump onto the Chris Moutinho bandwagon because, hey, Moutinho really didn't lose decisively. Like, he wasn't knocked out. He didn't submit. And people can argue that, hey, he didn't have a chance to complete this fight as well because a referee stopped the fight prematurely. He intervened. That is Herb Dean, that is. And there were only a few seconds left in that fight. But, hey, you've got a new star coming out of that one, and that's Chris Moutinho. Sean O'Malley's also got a bright future. Like I said, he's got to just protect that leg. He injured it in the past against Marlon Vera. I think you're going to see a lot of, you know, boxing out of this fighter. But I think you've got two future stars here. And another part about this premature stop, the good part about it is that it sets up for a part two if both fighters end up working their way up the ranks and they become bigger names. Once they become bigger, prominent names, people will always reflect back on this fight and they'll say, hey, we want to see that rematch. So it might happen. Irene Aldana versus Yana Kunitskaya, the Mexican-born fighter here, won that fight. And I think Brandon Moreno is going to lead a new wave for the Mexican fighters. He's going to lead a new wave for the Mexican fighters to the promised land, or to prosperity in the world of mixed martial arts. And that's what we're seeing here. So we just saw a Mexican fighter win that battle. What I can say is that we kind of see this already happening with fighters from other regions of the world. It's happening with fighters from Africa, and it's happened to Russian fighters, but Dagestani fighters, to be more specific. You know, I think it could also happen with fighters out of China, since Zhang Weili has decided to, you know, she took the torch and she's leading the way in that continent. But when it comes to Mexican-born fighters outside of lucha libre and boxing, we haven't really seen a whole lot of Mexican-born fighters dominate in the world of mixed martial arts. That is, capture titles. Brandon Moreno did that, and I can't wait to see what what the future holds for the fighters coming out of that country. When it comes to the third fight, we saw the birth of Stone Cold Tuiavuso. Let me tell you, man, this guy got the loudest pop of the night. And I'm not talking about entrances. We're talking about after a fight. He got the loudest reaction, at least in my opinion, or from what I saw on the Jeremy meter over here, the noise meter. I think he's the next big thing for showmanship, that is. I hope he wins a belt one day. It's definitely tough to make your way up there and do that, and I'd like to see him do it. But as far as showmanship goes, yeah, he just made himself a star last night. We're talking about drinking the beer out of the shoe, which is a tradition for where he comes from. He's got that Samoan power, that South Pacific Islander power there with him. And then he delivered a knockout blow to someone who we all want to see get knocked out already, and that was Greg Hardy. Okay, this is a guy that's coming back into the octagon, and he's got a controversial past. He's a former NFL player as well, not too popular and liked in the world of mixed martial arts. And we finally saw someone deliver a knockout blow, and to add insult to the injury, I think he even shut Greg Hardy's eye in this fight. So that was that. I think the production team could do a better job of capturing things in the moment. And to be more specific, that was Tuiavuso's South Pacific Islander dance. When he did it right after the knockout blow, they turned angles and they just switched right to Greg Hardy to see what his reaction was, which is, a dazed, confused look, while you hear a loud eruption from fans as they cheer and deliver that adulation to Tuiavuso while he's doing the South Islander dance. And then, then he celebrates that with a drink as well, a drink out of a shoe. He was drinking something out of a shoe. So I think the camera team could have done a better job. Not a camera team, the production team could have done a better job of selecting what clips to play at what moment. But I guess it's in the moment, it's live. It's pretty easy to switch camera angles really quickly and get other things. But that was that. When it comes to Gilbert Burns, Durinho, tough guy, versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I can say that Gilbert Burns dominated in that fight. At least that's my opinion. I think he dominated that fight. It was definitely unanimous. I scoring the fight as well as I was watching it, and it was pretty obvious that he was going to win, and there wouldn't have been a controversial ending there. What I can say here is that if you're a hardcore fan, then you're going to be appreciative of the fight. I mean, you've got two fighters that are bringing their skill sets. One that's straight up a high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner against someone that's got, they possesses the skills of the traditional martial arts when it comes to striking in Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. So if you're a hardcore fan, you're appreciating the fight. If you're casual, you're just watching a technical fight, and I guess you're just watching what's going on. But I don't. The thing about this is that there wasn't really an established. This really wasn't a fight. This was not a fight to establish the next big name in mixed martial arts. If anything, this was just a rankings fight to see who would be ranked higher on that list. And if anything, what you did here was not just find out who was the higher ranked fighter between the two, but who is the higher ranked gatekeeper between the two, because I feel like both guys will be relegated to that role, and that's the role of the gatekeeper. So if you want a shot at a championship title against someone like with the likes of a Kamaru Usman, you're going to have to get past a Gilbert Burns, or you have to get past a Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I feel like, maybe one of them could make their way back to the title picture one day if they change something dramatically in their game. But if we're talking about them staying as is and remaining the fighters that they are and not really evolving, what will happen is these two will just be gatekeepers, high-level gatekeepers, and, skilled gatekeepers. But that was that. So if you're a hardcore fan, you're enjoying the fight. If you're a casual, you're just, watching two fighters go at it, and some technical things going on that might be boring to some people who will not appreciate what's happening in the octagon. But hey, who's to say? you know, you never know what might happen here. Maybe one of these guys will change something significantly, and they'll be the face of the brand. But I highly doubt it. When it comes to the main event, Conor McGregor versus Dustin the Diamond Poirier, highly anticipated fights in the third of their trilogy. What can we say? There's a lot to say here. Listen, Conor McGregor started off strong, but he began to fade. It was pretty obvious that Dustin Poirier was going to win this not championship, but he was going to win this fight. A freak injury stopped this fight. You know, his freak injury similar to Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman, and now Conor McGregor. He broke a bone in his foot. It was pretty obvious. It was a nasty break as well. If you watch the replay, yes, it looked like he broke it at the end when he snapped that foot, that ankle area. But I'm not going to get too specific because I'm not a doctor here. But for all we know, is he probably injured it earlier on in the fight when he delivered a kick to Dustin Poirier. Perhaps he would have weakened the bone, and then it just all culminated and snapped, closer to the end of the round with just a few seconds left. That was an unfortunate end, and it could very well be an unfortunate end to what was an exciting, phenomenal career in Conor McGregor's career. That is, yes, Conor McGregor still has more to give to the sport, but when it comes to competing and sparring and fighting with the top dogs in that division, I think his best days are behind him. He left and went to fight Floyd Mayweather, and he was never really the same fighter after that. And then he lost to Khabib. One fight won, and that was against Cerrone. But apart from that, Conor McGregor's career has fizzled out, and it was a sad ending because if you watch the post-fight interview, he was sitting there as a fighter with his career in shambles on the canvas, couldn't get up. Joe Rogan had to sit beside him to do this interview. Anticlimactic. If anything, Conor McGregor was just spewing from the mouth again. I think he was even taking shots at Poirier's wife, saying she wife is in me DMs or something like that. I don't know what he was doing, but it was a sad decline to his career. Don't get me wrong, he's rich. He definitely has a lot of money. He built his brand off of the UFC as well, fighting, and then he went to boxing, and then he, had his hands involved in the Proper 12 whiskey brand. So he's got a lot of outside ventures going on, but it's too bad that this is the end of his run here. Like I said, he can fight. He could probably come back and do a fourth fight, but that's not really going to establish much. That's just going to be a payday, right? A lot of fans who are loyal will tune in to watch that, and there'll be money to be made. So it's just going to be, a big revenue generator for Endeavor or the UFC, and also for the Conor McGregor Sports Entertainment brand, and Dustin Poirier, the foundation. I believe he does charity or something. So that'll be a payday for him. Or, McGregor could come back and he could face Nate Diaz out of Stockton, California. So they could probably have a trilogy there as well. But when it comes to going into the title picture or fighting with the top dogs, like I said, or the elite fighters of that division, I don't think so. Not anymore for him. And listen, I was rooting for Conor McGregor. I like a good comeback story. I like when guys come back and reclaim their spot in the top position. But I think those days are gone, and his best days are in the rearview mirror. When it comes to the broadcast quality, it was broadcast live out of the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Good as always. I appreciate when they mic the fans up. When you mic the fans up and you play the entrance themes, and you add the lighting effect and whatnot. It really captures the essence of a UFC event and of a combat sport. So I'm really happy about that. The Tai Tayavusa dance, like I said, I think they snapped to a different angle to look at the fallen combatant in that fight, which was Greg Hardy. But hey, when the fans are cheering that loud and you got that decibel, and you're at that decimal point, and you've got someone displaying their charisma in the octagon, which is rare. You got to capture that in the moment so the fans can appreciate that, not play that on replay. So just be more mindful when you're in the production truck. Influencers were there. You got Dave Chappelle influencing You got the Kardashians, they were there. You had Donald Trump there, and then you had Mr. Kraft, the man who found macaroni and cheese. So yes, the influencers were there. Guys that make you laugh, people that make you buy makeup or whatever the Kardashians do. You know, people that become our polarizing figures in politics, they were there. And then Kraft, the guy who you know, had me eating macaroni and cheese when I was growing up. He was there. So you had all the influencers, they were there, and then they had some other celebrities too. And then you got the fans. The fans were there as well. They add to the event. I mean, without the fans, the event is not fun. And then lastly, you had the ESPN personalities there. I can understand why they were there. It's pretty transparent as to why they're there, okay? There's a partnership between the ESPN brand and then the UFC brand. And you got to, you know, combine the two, have them combine their efforts for the event. But when it comes to talking MMA, I don't really think the ESPN guys should be there. They really shouldn't. I mean, Max Kellerman, Stephen A., they could probably talk boxing as well as Teddy Atlas, of course. That's their thing. When it comes to using the vernacular and the terminology in MMA, you want to see your MMA guys there, or you know what I mean, MMA guys, the MMA females, whoever, but people from that world talk. I don't really want to hear boxing analysts here. Because we're not talking about boxing. Now, if you want to pair personalities with from ESPN with the personalities of the UFC or mixed martial arts, and you want to combine the two, then perhaps you can, because at least you'll have one personality who can, you know, anchor that down and the other one talk. But when you have two guys straight out of the ESPN brand talking about MMA, for hardcore fans, you know, you're watching and you understand why they're there, but you're kind of shaking your head, or you're just going, okay, all right, let's move on. Let's move on to the next segment here. Fun event overall. If you want to support the cause, I'm not sure what the cause is, pick up some merch out of TURNBUCKLECLUB.ca or TURNBUCKLECLUB.com. I want to say thank you so much for tuning in. And the next time we meet, I'll try to cover the next UFC numbered event, which will feature Cyril Gane out of France versus Derek Lewis, the American fighter. And I would have never predicted, or if someone said, hey, I want you to prognosticate what the title picture is going to look like in a month from now, I would not have listed these two fighters, that's for sure. I was going to either list Francis Ngannou, John Bones Jones, even Stipe Miocic, but Cyril Gane and Derek Lewis for the championship title, like, or the interim. Didn't expect that, but that's going to happen. Predictions, I'm not going to make a prediction because Cyril Gane has a lot of potential, but I am deep down rooting for the American fighter here. Like, I really want to see Derek Lewis win that belt. I'd love to see him win that championship title. But, that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to make a prediction here, but I would like to see Derek Lewis win that championship title. And you know, hopefully we'll have a chance to reconvene. We'll have our meeting. We'll have a chance to do another installment of the post UFC numbered event talk. So see you later. Or wait,